that's over there. Where is it? Well, it's right over there. So we seed the runway, we roll the runway, the roller's outside, so it's all volunteer. So, but the bottom line is it'd be about $150,000 to maintain an airport, given, and even at the town hall. Who plows and shovels over there?
Me?
Yeah, you know, we get in this view, you come and help us. But no, like I said, we all work together to make sure that the services are provided the best we can.
That's awesome. That's great. Thanks for the information. Appreciate it. No more questions on that one.
Josh, done with number 9. Last one, discussion of the funding of the airport.
Well, this goes back to the 95.5. Then there is other things that are beyond that. So, like in the case of the stormwater, that actually falls under, they're at 100% of what they're covering. So, let's call it $500,000. But now, I think the question was, if the airport would fold and it would cease, if the airport would cease to be an airport, monies would have to be paid back to the federal government that are given out. And I don't have the exact amount, but you know, again, that'd be the $500,000. And like the T hangar that was previously built, there's an amount that gets reduced every year type of deal. So in, let's say 20 years, the value that have to be paid. But again, that's talking if the airport closes. If the airport continues on where it's at, it just goes, and it just, these are monies that the government has set aside through the avgas sales and other things. They want to keep feeder airports open, because like the National Guard comes here, so we offer them, the airports offer a very valuable thing. So they realize that they want to keep monies coming in. We get approximately $160,000 a year for improvements. That's not to put diesel in the truck, that is for improvements. We save it up. And when we save up enough, we then can work on these. And the ALP, you're right, that was done in 2011. We are due for another one because the government, remember the government has all these rules. The government wants us to have another one, and unfortunately, for an engineer to do the paperwork, it's estimated to be $250,000. So what ends up happening is we have to save up approximately 2 years of not spending to pay for the new ALP to tell us that we could have a fence around there, or we could have this, we could have that. So you try to do what you can with your buildings and your improvements first. So that in the T hangar case, it'll bring in more money, and bring in more folks to enjoy the airport. And then the other option there, which will be part of the tour, is we were donated some land west of here from Carol Calkins, and its value is, let's call it $400,000, is put in the government's pot as monopoly money. You can't spend it on day-to-day operations. It can only be used for that 5 or 10% match. So we've got approximately $4 million worth of value to spend on projects just with that donated land. It cannot go to the town, it cannot go to the budget, it cannot go to anything. It is just for improvements at the airport, and it's just hanging out there. It's just, I call it monopoly money. It's you know, we can't really spend it. We can't buy chains for the blower. So all projects have a percentage. Now, on that other 5 or 10% on the top, and I think Josh, you saw a lot of the stuff, you saw everything for the funding, but on the stuff on the top, the 5 or 10%, there's also a state portion that they can kick in. So in the case of the stormwater, the state is kicking in because they want these ponds, they want these things. So they're kicking in, that's why it's not costing any money there too. And it doesn't go against our 5 or 10%. So it's kind of like getting grants, which you guys will work on for the roads. There's different avenues that you get grants, different things. So it's the same thing at the airport.
Okay, so I spoke to Bob a couple, 3 weeks ago, and recently, he had about 60 grand in the checkbook the first of the year, and you guys, I know, because I was at the meeting, you made some improvements out here. I forget what you did out here, what you purchased.
Some,
weather stuff and.
a say weather for $42,000, yes.
Okay, there it is. so you had that saved up, and so you wanted, and I recall, I think you said, don't quote me, but I think you said, we got the money, let's get it now.
Yes.
But I asked Bob, I said, have you been, has the government paid you back for that, on a grant? And he said, no. I said, well, when do you get that money? And his comment honestly was something like, who knows?
Well, and Bob is right, the 42,000 is not something that could be a grant money thing, because that was not an approved AWAS. An approved AWAS is a weather station that they have at certain airports. Those are around $150,000. And it's on our ALP. But by putting the say weather in, we don't need that, so we won't add that in there. So normally what would happen is you have to save up that $150,000, the government comes in, takes 6 or 8 months or a year to design or do, and if anybody's dealt with government, it operates at glacial pace. So this opportunity came up and technology came along that the say weather came down in price. And how we got a lot of that money is because of the volunteers. The previous, saving that money. So we were able to take the monies that are generated, from the operations at the airport, put it into the bank, and we were actually closer to 90,000. Don't quote me on the exact number, please. But
Budget,
yeah, but the thing is then we had 40-some thousand for the say weather, it's 42,000, I do believe. And there's a number of that's going to be something that the Palmyra town could put on their website. The school could use. It's a I don't want to say military grade, but the technology is there to be very useful for pilots. We actually have a say weather out there, but it's our older version that was completely bought by the Palmyra Flying Club, so this is the upgrade. But we've heard pilots that come over, they're going to click on it to hear the winds, the barrow, everything. The new
now
one
it'll tell you the cloud height.
And now this one will tell you the cloud height, it'll tell you lightning strikes. So, Josh, if you want to, you go, it's on the internet, and if you want, it'll tell you everything that you can get from Channel 6 News. And at the school, they can come up with a program for a weather program, and they can work on it. So it's a I don't want to say industrial grade, but it's really good. The next one was Beacon and a PAPI. A PAPI is a precision approach lighting system, which will be facing, will be for landing on 2-7. It guides pilots in those kind of more,
You can see the trees at the end down here. So if you get aligned on a glide slope, say it's at night, I mean, at least this will guarantee if you're in with that glide slope range, you're not gonna hit a tree. It's a safety feature that many other airports have in the area. We haven't, and that's, we're trying to save up over the term to get stuff like this to improve the airport.
Then to your point, certain things we can, because with the monies that came in for the town, village, or cities, they just got a chunk of money, and they had criteria that they had to do. Airports, we have to spend money, submit the bills, and that's what Bob was talking about. And we were told back in February that it should be a quick turn. So that's why when we did these improvements, that's why we spent, and it is going at a glacial pace.
Quick term in the terms of government, I guess, right?
So we're expecting $55,000 back, and that's partially because we were able to take all of our expenses, all of our repairs, the PAPI, and we were able to put that in. There's a couple of submissions in there, and then hopefully we can get that back to go back into the account. But I mean, right now, it's it's tight, but we thought it's doable, but we thought that we'd have it back already, and it isn't.
Have you ever considered some way of selling the airport?
Not really.
Not ours to sell.
Yeah, it's not ours to sell.
I understand it, but I'll tell you what, I'm looking at the email from our attorney dated February 22nd, 23, to Winona Bradson that talks about making the airport a utility district. You know anything about that?
Well, the utility district was, well, first of all,
Dave, you know anything about
well, we're kind of going off of the thing here for the funding. It was discussed different options of different operational things, And again, it was brought to my attention, and it just wasn't something that's there. But again, we're kind of getting off of this stuff here. So are we done with?
Are we good with that?
I just, yes, and thank you. All this information has been,
And again, you can always call.
right.
You know, this is communication that we've always had. If you ever have a question, you know, you can, these are things that, again, there's always been
Like you said,
transparency.
phone call's cheaper, you know, or email,
My last
whatever.
question, and it's a generic question, and is the airport self-funded?
Yes.
When I say that,
Yes.
I'm not talking about grants, all of that stuff, I'm talking town money. So.
I don't know your guys' budget, so I can't tell you that.
No, but the airport is self-funded, because if you look back after your historical, the airport has really not taken any money, except for this discussion of the attorney, which is again, one of those things that's a specific item. We have not taken money to buy the truck, we have not taken it to repair the tires, we have bought blades.
I
That's
think
all.
even this building, when Don Hagan, he applied for it through the, you know, Board of Aviation to get this building built.
Which
He was
is
tired
part of
of
our
getting put
grants.
on the
Well,
goal.
I think it's great if you're
Yeah.
self-funded,
Right.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
again, with our limited budget, does the airport receive any town funds? And the
No.
answer is no, I'm hearing.
Well,
Although
you
you
guys
guys
know
can
their budget
provide
more than we do. I mean, I don't think that we're taking
We're
anything from it.
We're a new board.
Yeah, well, that's, I mean, I figured you guys would get
We've
those
gone back
records
to
more
prior
than
years.
that I would have access to. But as far as I was under the understanding, and heard this from numerous parties, that we are self-sufficient, and what's gonna happen out here is part of it is the big gig that goes on every Father's Day.
Oh, that's great, thanks.
Yeah.
Go back to your question. Well, I would like to understand, what was this, looking into, what'd you call it? Utility district, what was this about?
Well,
When
again,
was it?
It's not on the agenda, is it?
because it's really not
Well,
on the agenda.
The agenda does say other topics too, right?
What is that dated from? I mean, I've never heard of this.
February 22nd this year.
A lot of times people call and ask different things and what's going on. I think it's just a matter of, you know, we're trying to move it forward, the airport, and I guess, you know. somebody
We're
had a
going
question.
off topic. I mean, you were asking about, you know, the liability if you guys were to close the airport. And I'm like, okay, we shouldn't have any fear of that.
Well, no.
I mean, that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, that's why we
I didn't
pursue
think
these
you wanted
projects.
really to sell here.
I mean, that's why we pursue these
I'd like
projects,
to
and
make a
we really
motion
don't
that
have
Were
fear.
you aware of
Everything
this?
on our-
Is really a
So
question.
So the background
I'd like to-
behind, the background behind Frank's question is that there was apparently a discussion about selling the airport before we got on the board. So, from our perspective, who the hell's gonna sell the airport and who are they gonna sell it to?
Who they gonna sell it
Right?
to?
So,
Well, maybe it's
the-
because
the
of what
co-
happened up at McDermott. I don't know if this is where, it is. I mean, you heard that what happened up in Sullivan, right?
Right,
Why don't
but-
you let me
but-
enter this discussion
but-
since you're talking about me?
Well, you
Frank?
didn't know you wanted to get, please.
Yeah, okay, so way back when, in a discussion with the city manager or a city attorney of a different city, this friend of mine, we were talking about airports, and he said that the airport he was familiar with was part of a quasi-public-private entity, I don't know if it was called a corporation, that the municipality was the public end of it, and the private end of it was some other organization. So it was very confusing to me, I don't know anything about it. And he said, why is Palmyra not something like that? This guy isn't local, by the way. And so I thought, that's strange, I don't know. So I called Al, and I don't know how this got into a utility. It was a quasi-public-private entity. And so it was a question, and Al's answer was he didn't think so. So it was a question because when we had questions as a board that we couldn't answer if they came to it from a constituent, and this has been brought up by a constituent that, I don't know what, they were asking me something that, and maybe they said a utility district, so that's where this question came from. So, and in order to deal with this, I called the attorney and said, what can you tell me about this? So that's that simple. Now, we were allowed to do that. Larry allowed us to call the attorney if we had a legal question. many times, the questions that I asked the attorney came from constituents. I couldn't answer them, I tried to get a legal answer from our attorney. So nobody was trying to sell the airport. This is a question about a quasi-public private entity. Okay, does that help?
Yeah, and I don't think anybody thought
Yeah,
that we were
commission
trying to
has
sell
no
the
idea.
airport.
No, or nor that we were,
Right.
or
Well,
they
We
were.
didn't
But
sell
we
it
have-
too,
We
that's,
have to understand
where
stuff,
we
so
wanna
that's why I
be.
brought it to you.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, just one thing, so just be certain that whatever's going on here, this was never discussed
No.
at any level with the airport commission. So we
Just
know-
learning that,
We know
yes.
zero
Yeah.
about it.
Except,
Well, you can't blame.
except,
oh, that's way beyond, I'm like, whoa,
yeah, no, I think we understand.
we can't sell your property.
Well, you could, but ramifications might come.
Yeah, I mean, got some, desert out there as oceanfront property.
I'll make the motion, no.
Want to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
There's a motion to adjourn, do I got a second?
Second.
A motion is made to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting's over.
Gentlemen, thank you very much.